Don't take a pregnant woman to the sausage party.
It was a big sausage party. Lots of sausage. I guess let's go live.
All right, let's do it.
Want to do a shot first?
I'm good.
Okay. So I'm here with Mario R. Martin.
Hey, Aaron, how are you?
I am fantastic. This will be episode 2 because episode 1 will be me talking, explaining what we're doing here.
Cool.
So it's like a flashback.
So it's like
forward,
so
like Back to the Future.
I'm number 2. I get it.
You could be number 1.5.
1.5.
1.5.
Okay. 1.5.
Yeah, fine. So yeah, you wrote a book.
I did.
Called Growing Up Analog, and I dissected it. I read it, and I'd encourage anyone who loves music to definitely check this book out because it brings you back to every musical first in your life.
That's kind of what I set out to do. It was really just more a matter of I got a lot of stories to tell, and they all include some sort of musical addition to it.
And every time I read a book, usually I hear a voice in my head of like either the character or whatever else. I didn't hear your voice in this.
No, that's
so I was just hoping you could read the entire book to me. And
that's not a problem.
All right now.
Chapter 1.
But I thought that was weird. I was like, why don't I hear Mario's voice?
You know why? It's partially because even when I was writing it, I heard the songs. Like, I heard the soundtrack. It's like it was always playing in the background.
I actually played the Spotify playlist as I was going through. So,
it helps.
Yeah. Oh, it does. Yeah. All right, let's just dig into it because I have a bunch of questions, obviously. As you can see, this book is tatted up with Post-it notes.
I love it.
Where'd you grow up? Because I thought you grew up... That was the first question that I had coming in.
Yeah.
I think you bring it up, how you moved. Yeah.
Yeah, I grew up on 20th and Mitchell in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Okay.
The area used to be like a pretty thriving part of the city, of the near south side. And then it kind of... It got run down.
Yeah.
And it wasn't terrible yet at the time, but it was bad enough. So after 4th grade, my mom pulled me out of the school that I was going to on 22nd and Mitchell.
What school?
St. Vincent de Paul at the time.
So my mom was at Walker Middle School. She taught.
Not too far away.
Yeah, it's pretty close. Okay.
So yeah, and then moved over to...
How do I not know this?
Yeah.
I've known you. I was like, I never knew where you actually grew up. So then where'd you move?
Weirdly enough, close to the airport. So not too far from where I'm currently living.
Gotcha. All right, that was just the first thing because I saw it. I was reading. I'm like, okay, I know Mario, but I never knew where he grew. Specifically, I never knew that you moved. What made you do the book?
I had a story to tell, and it actually started out as when I got married in 2012.
The wife made you do it?
No, not at all. I wanted to document the first year of our marriage.
Okay. This is in here, isn't it?
It is. I believe it is.
Forward? I skipped. Okay, never mind. Sorry, I slimmed through that part.
No, but it was really. I mean, I'll give you the abridged version, which is I wanted to document our first year of marriage, and I started, and about like 3 or 4 months into it, I was like, "This is garbage," and I am fucking boring. Yeah. You know, how do you blow out talking about like we made spaghetti and watched How I Met Your Mother. You know, that doesn't...
Jammy
that's not
time
a book.
was 9 o'clock.
Exactly.
Like
8:30.
Yeah, we went out and then jammy time.
Exactly. So, I mean, I wrote it because I had an idea, and then I scrapped that idea, and then...
You had a different story to tell.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, and if you're listening to this, and I hope you're listening... the craziest part about this is like everything that you're, like you said, it brings up a lot of like first, so like everything that you talk about as being your first. It's like, wow, what was my first time that I heard that song or something? You know what I mean? Like,
for sure,
it's the whole soundtrack of your life, and that's kind of why I zipped through this really quick.
It's also, it's not just the first that are applicable to what I'm talking about. It sparks the first time that you heard that first rap song that you really liked, or that first techno song or whatever the genre is. It's applicable across genre.
Well, music's part of everybody's life. It should be, if it's not. But yeah, that's definitely what this brought. And the craziest thing is when you brought up like mainstream and like all those local things.
Yeah, the record stores are emblazed on my
love
brain.
going to mainstream. That was like the greatest.
Oh, I remember actually.
They had like all the live videos, which I'd go in there and buy all the live videos, all the live tapes.
They had the bootleg section. That was also one of my favorites.
It was like the porn store back room.
Porn store back room. They also
it's like you would go in this back little room, and then like that's where like all the live video and all the demo tapes were, and that was, like
the best. And not to mention, it was prior to the online digital era.
Oh, yeah.
That's where you went and got your concert tickets. So I remember sleeping out
God,
overnight.
I just remember that. Totally forgot that you'd have to go there to get tickets.
Lollapalooza 1992. I remember sleeping out for tickets, and I was like number 100 or something in line. Like, people used to do that. It's crazy to think that nobody gives a shit anymore. Nobody does that.
Now you just sit and wait for
a printout. Or you just
do it on your phone.
Yeah, you show your phone to the person scanning at the door.
It's sad. But a lot of stuff, like even like CDs now, I almost buy CDs or vinyl just because I like the art.
Exactly.
A good band that I love, it's like I'm just going to buy it because I like the art.
And it's a
and
value
support
add.
them, and then fine.
For sure.
Because I know most of the music money is coming from concerts now, because it's
and merch.
It's just sad how. Well, okay, then that's kind of something else I want to get into is how old we are, and how music has changed. And
I'm timeless, Aaron. I don't have an age.
And that's another thing in this book. I realize that you're a lot older than I am.
Fuck you.
It's like, wow, 1999, he's graduating college. I'm just starting college.
Yeah, I'm 40 years old.
Oh, you are big 40 now.
Yeah. I'll be 41 this year, so.
Okay, wait, let's get into something about music and how it's changing.
Yeah, for sure.
Is it just crap now?
You know what it is?
You know what? You brought something up where it said there's nothing original anymore.
It's not original, but it's also, it's lost a lot of its... I hear bands nowadays. I'm a big fan of Sirius XM, and I hear new bands, and they have no soul to them. And that's not like soul as in soul music. It's they're not struggling for their art because they don't have to. They can go out and buy a MacBook Pro and load on power tools, and their crappy drummer gets sped up or fixed in post. And back in the day, you used to have to really refine everything. And
that's kind of where I want to get to, because it's so weird. Like back in the day, I'd go to the exclusive company.
Sure.
And Jason, or I don't remember the other guy. One guy, Jason was like, here's rap, here's hip hop. The other guy was metal. He's like, hey, check out this new band.
Are you talking about Jason Barr?
Yeah.
That's
it's
awesome.
his birthday, what?
That's so funny.
This weekend.
And he was one of the few people that I remember. He lived in my college dorm.
Oh.
Yes,
he did go to Whitewater, because when I went to exclusive to hang out with him, he said he was going to Whitewater, and then I think I met him out there every once in a while. Yes.
So funny.
So yes, that guy. He was the one who was like, hey, check out this single from this white rapper from Detroit, Dr. Dre found him. I'm like, sure, why not? And then the heavy metal guy is like, hey, check this new group out. The lead singer's from System of a Down. He's like, it's super crazy. It's super weird.
Yeah, that's
how you found music back then.
Their jobs were almost to curate your purchases.
Yeah. And it wasn't even like this employee's pick of the week or that. Right. It was like you're talking to them and hanging out.
Mm-hmm. Well,
that's how you'd find stuff. Or your friends, you'd find stuff. Like the radio was crap, and MTV actually had where you'd find some stuff. But now it's
MTV used to have videos.
Channel 11.
Or the box.
Cable box. Or the box, yes.
The box was the rad stuff.
So, but it's so weird because like back then it was like it was a harder way to find music. Right. It was a lot harder. But now it's actually easier. You have access to the world of music, but it's harder to find good music.
That's a really good way of putting it, because...
And that's frustrating.
Yeah, especially with like a Spotify or I don't know that people actually use Tidal, but
No, it is.
Spotify
No.
Spotify always has like, sounds like, which I think
Related
is
artists and all that other stuff.
exactly.
Yeah. Yep.
And I think that's good, but it's not the same. It's not the same as like, hey, I remember you really liked, Korn.
Yeah.
So the difference has become less personal, I guess.
It's like a computer's just doing everything for you. That's not.
Yeah.
You're not.
My brain isn't a fucking algorithm.
Yes.
Like, and my musical tastes, I can listen to, Peter Tosh and then Ministry. So, like, no
I'm
algorithm.
board, so it.
Who's going to figure that out? No computer can tell me, hey, you might be in the mood for.
They'll get close and they'll probably lead you in the right direction, but they won't find what you're really looking for. Like right now,
Right.
like if I'm searching down Spotify, one guy actually found a really good way to do it. Richard Lackey, really good. He loves music. Good buddy of mine. He'll go to like an artist that he likes,
Okay.
and then dig down like related artists, and then he looks at like how many views or how many listens, and then just keep spiraling down to
That's
try to
interesting.
find like the real new one that he would like.
That's interesting. And I imagine
That's sad that that's
cool,
the only way
though.
to do it now, though.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm counting on him to find something that
for sure.
you like, but that's where we're at now, and it's like it's tough. It sucks.
Yeah, the landscape, the musical landscape has changed so greatly, and not for the better. Just because I can get an album instantaneously through a download doesn't mean that album is good.
Quantity versus quality. It's the same thing. Like I said, there's so much crap out there. It's
Well-
hard to find stuff that is good, and yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like it's frustrating.
And then to go off of that just a little bit, there's also, I think it was Neil Young who refuses to put his music on iTunes.
Probably, yeah.
And he was being interviewed by Howard Stern a couple months back. And it was really interesting because he's like, I don't want to sell just one song because I wrote Harvest Moon as an album. It's a concept.
It is one
it's a
song.
full.
It's a full song.
Yeah.
It's a huge song.
Exactly. It's got breaks and it might have different names, but it's one opus.
Yeah, Neil Young's not on there. That's what I was just searching for. But yeah, I mean, but that's where back in the day, like the Columbia houses and all that stuff, you'd have to buy the full, and that's, I guess, a good thing now.
For sure.
Instead of buying a full CD for that one song. Like my parents used to yell at me for all the time, like, why are you buying this full CD if you
Yeah,
just
but-
want that one song?
But it exposes you to so much more, though.
Oh yeah, totally. And the Columbia House days and all that other, like how much money,
Oh, yeah.
and now it's just $10 a month.
Just $10 a month and you don't actually
that part
own
I
it.
like. You like,
Yeah.
But what was your first CD you ever bought?
That I bought, I had purchased like some like golden age of the classics because I played piano as a kid.
Yeah. You still play? I was going to ask you about that too.
I don't, but I still know how.
Okay.
But the first one that I actually like bought with my own money, I remember taking a Ziploc bag of coins to Mainstream, and the first CD that I actually bought was a double album, and that was a Saturday Night Fever soundtrack
Nice.
with the fat double
Oh, yeah.
CD, not
Yes.
like two slipcases.
Oh no, you had the big plastic.
Yep, exactly.
Mine was Ice Cube Predator.
Nice.
I had to put take off the price tag and then put it over the advisory, so your
the
parents, my
folks. Oh,
parents
sure.
wouldn't see it.
Oh yeah.
And that was at Sam Goody, and we did it once, and they thought we were stealing. They kicked us out of the store, and then a security guard was following us around Southridge.
Oh, fun.
So we had to ditch them back to our parents. So
The dumb shit you do for
And-
music, right?
but we weren't even stealing it. We were like, no, we just wanted to cover up the price tag.
But if you were stealing it,
Oh yeah.
you think about it and how it's like, you would think that you're trying to like, rob somebody for
yeah.
your smack addiction. No, that's not the case. I just really needed to hear some more tunes. You know?
And then
It's fun.
playing it at home and my mom walking by. I think the first song, Now I'm Gonna Wet Ya.
Oh yeah.
Mom didn't like that.
Bend over, touch your toes.
Wait, no, don't turn it off. Turn it off. Yeah, so I don't know. That's kind of what I don't get about music. Like, kind of just what we were talking about. There's more out there, but it's harder to find the good stuff.
That's a really good way to put it.
There's
in the digital age, yeah.
It's frustrating. All right, back to your book.
That sounds so enthused now.
Back to this piece of crap that I still want you to read it to me out loud. The entire thing.
It's no Pulitzer winner, but damn.
I have so many post-it notes.
That's a concerning sigh.
No, I don't know where I want to get to. Like they said, there's so much stuff that I want to get to that's like, and anyone who reads it, and I encourage everyone to read this. Can you only get it on Amazon?
It's only available
or do you
on
have
Amazon.
A bunch?
Only available on Amazon. It will never be available electronically. I've been asked a number of times.
Why? Who wants that?
A number of people want it like for Kindles, you know.
Oh yeah, I guess.
But I refuse to do it.
Put it in a PDF.
I actually have a PDF of it, so I can find things when I need to reference it.
Search it, yeah.
The weird thing is, like, I don't want people to have it electronically because it's about analog. It's about the physical product. Like, it would be hypocritical. Yeah, well, that'd be awesome. That'd be awesome.
Okay, I find myself doing this all the time. I think you kind of brought it up with a couple of groups in here that you talked about. By the way, if you read this book, there's a lot of music in here, and there's a lot of groups, very obscure groups, which is fun and great.
Yeah, to me, they weren't obscure, but like, you know, people ask me like, "What the fuck is a Nitzareb?"
Well, I could talk about EPMD, and you'd be like, "What?" Well, not you, but
yeah.
Other people would be
totally.
like, "What the hell are you talking?" Like, I've heard of them, but not
exactly.
So when you like really dive deep into some of the artists you did, and that's kind of cool.
Thank you.
And now I'm super guilty of this, like Taylor Swift and Adele, and we've had the talk before about Taylor Swift.
I love Taylor Swift.
I know you do, and you're weird, but most people do, so I guess I'm weird.
Hey, man. Folks, you hear it here first.
I'm weird. Do you ever find... Okay, so we've made mistakes in our lives with music.
Sure.
Where you like a band, and you really like a band, and you're like, 10 years down the line, you're like, what the fuck was I thinking?
For sure.
Like Limp Bizkit.
For me. I still love
Korn. I still like Deftones, still love.
I still love Limp Bizkit.
$3 counterfeit was...
Dude, their last album, Go Cobra.
Is that the one I threw out the window? Was it green?
I don't remember. No, that was probably like the hot dog flavored water.
It was after that one, I know. I got one after that.
Gold Cobra
First time I ever...
phenomenal.
Went to Best Buy, bought it, put it in. Halfway home, I threw it out the window.
Well, that's littering. I mean, you should have been picked up for littering. The Greendale Police Department.
No, but it's crap. So it actually goes into the soil. It helps. I was helping.
Okay. It's a plantable.
Okay, so like out of the dumb mistakes, do you ever hear something now and you're like, this is probably just a trend?
Yeah. I mean, you hear it a lot more with pop. I think to myself that most of the One Directions out there, the Jonas Brothers and everything, it's a passing fancy. But I can't talk too much shit about that passing fancy because when people make fun of me for enjoying Britney Spears, having seen her a number of times. I would never
make fun of you for
that. I love Taylor Swift or Katy Perry. Like, I love that. Or DNCE.
Well, we have a playlist. Mario and I share a wonderful playlist on Spotify. It's Guilty Pleasures.
But it's
you
necessary.
will hear damaged.
But the thing is that like
why is it necessary?
It's necessary because
to fill a hole.
It fills a hole, but it's also like you're not supposed to take it so seriously. It's not Rage Against the Machine. It's not Paul Simon. It's not Neil Young. It's not politically charged. It's not anything.
Yeah.
But what I just always tell people that make fun of me for, certain musical choices. Michael Jackson was pop.
Yeah. The king. He was the king of pop.
The king of pop. Like, some of the songs were like really touching and everything, like Man in the Mirror, but what the fuck does Mama say, Mama sa, Mama?
Nothing.
It's like, it doesn't mean anything, and it shouldn't have to.
Side topic. Did you see everything coming out now, like just now, recently, about Missy Elliott and Work It?
Mm-mm. I
Kids
did not.
now are, I say kids because you're little kids. They actually found that Missy Elliott was saying something when she's saying flip it and reverse it. And
Like
then the
they
whole,
didn't.
yeah, that part.
They didn't know.
No,
that?
they didn't realize that she was actually saying something.
Oh God.
So somebody put a vine out and they actually
They
played
slowed
it
it.
backwards, and it's like blowing people's minds.
Could
So
you
anyway,
imagine?
sorry.
Could you imagine if they like listened to like Judas Priest back in the
know.
day when
Yeah.
people would like say that said Satan come to me? You know, like what the hell?
Anyway, yeah, I'm just saying because like that actually, there's a reason for it, and that's just Missy Elliott.
Right.
But kind of what you're talking about, like the context and content, it's like it's just made to be fun.
Exactly.
So I don't know. I kind of always see myself like if somebody's talking about something, like a band or something, and
Sure.
I'm like the Lumineers of the world, or like that whole let's have 50 instruments on the stage and
Singer-songwriter genres
singer-songwriter where everybody has an instrument, a flute, a violin,
and
washboard.
and spoons and mandolins. Like, give me a break.
But it's just that's the whole that some people
That
like Dave
fills
Matthews
somebody's
isn't
soul.
coming out with something, so they got this is what you're gonna go for now,
It's
and then
it's the off year for Dave Matthews. So Lumineers and Mumford and Sons has a release.
but that's a huge trend now too, and even that's kind of fading off now.
Yeah.
But then
Actually, the latest Mumford and Sons record sounds a whole lot more electronic, so it's
They
a little
switched
more strong.
I might have to just check it out just to see the difference.
It's awesome.
But it's just like some people like, but I found like I'm guilty of it. And I kind of should back off. I don't know why I do it because my music choice is really weird. But like somebody will be
That's
like,
right.
I love Tyler the Creator. I'm like, that's fantastic. He has one cool album. He's different. He's odd. He's out there. He's not going to be he's like a Master P where he's not going to be around in 10 years. But then I will completely close myself off.
Yeah.
And say, why am I even going to bother with this?
Yeah.
But then it's bad because then I'm still listening to my old music.
I was asked just last night what I'm purchasing, what I've purchased recently.
I was going to ask you that too.
It's really interesting because I haven't purchased anything new. I buy new reissues of old records like 1984's Tim,
Yeah.
the Replacements Tim album, which I think is one of the best albums that I own. The Cramps, Bad Music for Bad People.
Yep.
Like 1979 like
But that's what I'm
live
saying.
show.
Like,
Yeah.
that's where I'm like, are we just old and there's nothing out right now? Because I'll even buy like bands that I loved in the 90s, like the Rancids, the Newfound Glories,
Sure.
the Poppy Punk, whatever, Deftones. They're coming out with new albums still, and I'm just getting those out. Like there's no
Right.
new band that I'm getting.
Yeah, and
Like some stuff I am, but not like Neck Deep and like these newer
right.
punk bands, stuff like that. I'll get, but not the stuff I majority listen to besides Sirius XM or
Sure.
random playlists. It's always the old stuff that I like. I mean,
Ditto. I mean, same here.
I can't see anything good. It's like new that I just want to keep listening to.
You
So I
know,
don't-
I will say there. I'll make a
or Biggie and Tupac. Like I'll go back and listen to that, or Nas, or
totally.
the old stuff like Wu-Tang. I'm still digging everything they do. So
The only genre that I buy new things recently is electronica. I'm a huge fan of K7 records. So anything on the DJ Kicks series, I end up buying. Like,
Yeah.
so I'm exposed to Nina Kravitz or actress Marcel Detman. Like these are all international DJs, and they're pulling from their influences that are obscure too. You know, whether it's like, this is a Romanian DJ, or somebody from Poland, and
See, that's
it's
new,
a
though.
jam.
That's different. Like that's the more international side of it. Like
Right. We live in a really small little cosmos. Like it's kind of crazy. Like we live in a bubble.
It's the thing I posted the other day about is EDM. It was like a define how you like categorize everything nowadays and how it's just destroying. And that's one thing that I can't stand is like you have pop punk, you have alt punk, you have rock, you have alternative. It's like you have alt rock.
And back in the day, it was all alternative.
Alternative.
It was alternative to the mainstream.
If there's heavy guitars, it'd be metal.
Right. Exactly.
Even alternative is different though because it used to just be rock,
That's a good point.
and then it went to rock and then alternative, and then I can see metal being different. But alternative, it kind of felt like the term alternative started almost when you were in college, when they had like the college band, like what was it called?
Yeah.
The college radio.
Yeah, I mean, it was college radio was kind of like what alternative started with, but it was like an open genre. Like alternative encapsulated singer-songwriter that isn't going to get, airplay on a commercial radio station.
The coffee house stuff.
Yeah, and the kind of stuff that I played, because I had a radio show in college.
I think we did the same one. Was it the local in the library? In the library,
yes. What was the name of it? I don't remember, but I did it with my buddy Tom Hoppa, and
I did it twice.
What do you mean
and then
twice?
I couldn't do it anymore.
Oh, come on, man!
Oh, it was bad. Every time I'd be like, "All right, here comes this group, and here we go." Every time I'd stop. Here we go.
We'd have some fun with it though. Like that was the
somebody
difference.
else would be
like if you're doing it by yourself, then it's like.
I was sitting there by myself playing. All right, and now we have Motion City Soundtrack, and here we go. I don't know why I always said here we go.
That's good.
That's my tagline. Here we go.
And out come the words. Here we go.
So, yeah, I mean, I think that whole, because that wasn't ever a thing either. It was just like rock, and then I think the college radio or whatever it was. Then you had that, not Nirvana, but it's almost like the muted guitar, like. It was like the grunge and like that kind of stuff. Like that was almost considered like the college music, I guess.
Yeah, I could see that.
But then it just turned into alternative, and that could go for anything.
Yeah, and it could be enjoyed by more people then, because it's not like so segmented.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, what kind of music do you listen to? Country. What about you? Oh, alternative. And that meant that it could be anything from techno to like punk, metal.
Yeah, and now
hip hop.
I even feel now country's turned into just poppy rock.
Actually, country, in my opinion, has become mainstream.
Yeah,
like it's like
out just of poppy rock. Like it
exactly.
And I grew up listening to my dad, like Randy Travis, Willie Nelson, like the old twangy.
And that's actually
stuff.
what I love about.
And that's my favorite. Like I'll listen to that all the time.
Hank Williams Sr., Buck Owens. Johnny Cash, of course. Merle Haggard's of the world.
Twangy, like Randy Travis and George Strait. Like that's what I grew up while my dad was getting ready for like a party, and they were going to like the country club to go eat and do whatever.
Yeah,
He'd be in the shower listening to that, so I would know all the words. Like that's what I grew up liking. Like,
but it still holds up.
Yeah,
that's the coolest part.
And that's the memory, kind of like going through your book. Like I could write about that, where it's like, I grew up listening. My dad taking a shower, singing to Randy Travis, and like now
it's crazy.
Like back then, I hated it, but now I can go back and actually appreciate it and be like, why do I like this? Because it brings back a memory, and that's what music does. Like some people say smells do, but if you fart in an elevator like 10 years ago, I won't remember it. I'd rather, if there was a song playing, I would know that because it'd be funny.
But and
that's what your book does.
Yeah, and what I was going to say about that though is what people tend to forget is. Music is your auditory smelling, like technically, not technically because it's not actually true. Physically. I just said it, but literally it's not that. You know what I mean? Like it's just,
I'll edit it out.
That's exactly, I'm keep it in. Keep that in.
Everything we do, I'm keeping in.
Minus that burp.
No.
Okay.
Like all the homophobia stuff that you say, it's fine.
I don't. I think that you dreamt that.
I did. Never happened. See, we already knocked about all my stuff. No, I was going to ask you about Whitewater back in your day.
Yeah.
What was the scene like? What was music like back then? Because it sucked. Your time probably had a better soundtrack. I had the early 2000s with Ludacris and Chingy and...
Oh, no. Don't completely think that I was without Chumbawamba and, garbage like that. With no disrespect to Garbage, because that's actually a good band.
Garbage is amazing. Yes.
But the landscape was pretty rife with junk.
What are they playing at parties?
it was a lot of the Chumbawamba and like the Jock Jams, first, first release. It sucks so bad, but I had already amassed a pretty amazing collection. So I'd walk into a party and, have a box of CDs and say, hey, do you mind if I play some stuff? Or I'd make a mix CD, and it would take like 4.5 hours to burn things onto a CD. Yes. But no, like even with your own stuff, but you had to have an external burner, but it was so bad that I had to do it myself, and that's kind of what set a lot of things rolling. I still did that as an adult, like I still show up to parties and say, like, hey, can you plug my phone in? I have a great mix for this.
I'm really annoying at that, and I do it all the time. It's
good though.
I love your music, but can we put on other stuff?
Can you stop playing Barbie Girl by Aqua and I'll play something good?
I mean, I like Chingy, but
only right there.
Right there. That was written in a library. Do you know that?
Mm-mm.
Yeah. Because it always says right there, and he goes, "I love it when you play."
Jeez. I really hope that to be true.
No, it's not.
Let's call Chingy and find out.
Shinji. Are you going to write another book? Part 2?
I'm not going to write about this same topic, but I have already sketched out the outline for a screenplay. So I'm hard at work scripting.
So if you would do a version 2 of this from, I don't want to give a spoiler away of how you end the book.
No, but
if you continued on, what music would you add for part 2 of this book? I know you're not doing it, but
I would probably go more electronica, because I think that there's a whole lot more that I needed to learn about it. So
it's still growing, isn't it? Like it started a long time ago, but
it's always like it's a spider crack effect.
Yeah.
But
is it more international?
It's very international, and I think that that's the coolest part about it.
Yeah.
You are not the sample that somebody uses here in the U.S. is going to be most likely it's going to be U.S. based. So if you're listening to a DJ from Iceland, the samples then are so varied that you're likely to find something that you've never heard before.
Yeah.
I mean, I was in Italy last year, and just the stuff that I was finding was like, oh my God, that's amazing. So you just park it at a record store and ask them what's cool right now, and they're going to tell you,
Yeah. What's the best record store you've ever been to?
For nostalgia purposes, I'm going to have to say the now defunct Atomic Records.
Oh, yeah.
It had everything from performances by the Pixies in a tiny crammed little space. It had bootlegs.
EWM?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
I mean, that's where I cut my teeth on learning about music, not composition, not bands. I was learning about music, and the teachers there were extremely good, and they were the people behind the counter. They knew everything about, hey, I see that you have My Life with the Thrill Kill Cult. Have you ever heard of Laibach or Pankow? No, I did not, but that's fucking phenomenal.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. Like, they knew what was coming through because they had just ordered something, or they flipped through their catalog and saw, that complements this My Life with the Thrill Kill Cult album. And it's, part of this is part of that person. So it's like, oh, Chris and Cassie, or like, these are the things that like you ended up finding out through talking to somebody, not, buried your face in your phone with a,
It sounds like.
Exactly.
Yeah. But that's right. I forgot. There's a comedian who does that where he talks about life before Google. Like,
we actually
someday you would just talk with, and I was thinking about doing that. So like, I don't know, one day you're just talking about somebody like, I wonder where Tom Petty was born. You'd actually have to go find somebody with a Tom Petty shirt to say, hey, where's Tom Petty? But
and they could or could not answer that for you then.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
But then you'd just keep going, and then one day you'd find it, be like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's a real shame. I mean, I still, most of my current music library comes from the Milwaukee Public Library. I am a firm believer.
That's right. I forgot you did that. Yep.
I mean, I'm a taxpayer, and those resources are there for taxpayers with a library card.
Yeah.
And you know what? I just, what did I just grab?
I've been doing that with comic books. I should probably do it with movies too.
Movies, yeah. And it's like, why would I find the need to find it out when I can just get the whole album and possibly enjoy all of it? Yeah. Not just one snippet, not just 30 seconds from iTunes.
No, yeah, and that's annoying as it is. But
exactly.
Yeah, I just wish you could somehow get back to word of mouth too. I mean, there's
for sure
that was always a fun way to do it, even though you wouldn't find out for a while.
Totally.
What was the process like writing a book? Because that's part about this podcast, which I'll talk about in the episode 0.5. Is as I was looking through all my list of friends and colleagues,
just
seeing what
sophisticated.
Just seeing what everybody does, like bar owners, or you work for a distillery, or you're an author. There's so much stuff that I don't know about this.
Are you
world.
Teasing future episodes in the middle of my interview?
Yes.
Fucker.
I'll be teasing upcoming shows and Ghost of Lore. So anyway, I don't know much about like being an author. What was involved in writing a book?
First of all, we worked together at around the time when I was heavy into the writing of it.
You wouldn't tell me anything. Yep.
Yeah, I never told anybody actually.
Dick.
The only person that knew about it was my wife and
Banksy.
And Banksy is my 12-pound dog who would just curl up on my lap and
he's 12 pounds.
Yeah,
this is actually bigger than Rocket.
Yeah, for sure.
Wow.
But no, it was a crazy process because I had so much material that I had to edit myself down. And then I had to also think about whether or not anybody would give a shit about what I was writing. So it's really humbling to look at yourself from somebody else's point of view. And the fortunate part is I self-published, so I didn't have to go through like an editor and somebody kicking it back and saying, well, we need another chapter, we need to shorten this, we need to whatever. Like I was in full creative control and I copyrighted everything on my own. So it was nerve-wracking because I'd go straight into the night and get to bed at like 2:00 in the morning sometimes because I was on a roll. Like I'd be laughing or I'd be like kind of depressed about like whatever story I was writing about, but it was fun. It was an interesting process.
Yeah, and I guess the self-publishing thing makes it a lot easier. Well, you're critiquing yourself, but you don't have to deal with anybody saying, no, we want more here, we want more. Exactly, it's your thing. So
exactly. Hey, we don't have the rights usage for this band, so you got to pull it. Well, no, like it was important to the story. So like you can tell from this book that Jane's Addiction was a huge influence on me, and
a little bit.
But
no, yeah,
but that's exactly the thing. Like, hey, we don't have a contract with Warner Brothers, so you can't talk about that band and reference their song title or whatever. Like, I didn't have anybody breathing down my neck.
You don't have to worry about it. Yeah, but that's the thing is like, yes, you talked about Jane's Addiction a ton, and like just any band that you talked about a lot. I mean, this book does weird things where it's like I'm thinking about music that I'm reading along, but it's like you're still thinking about my bands that I really liked a lot, and
that's awesome.
When you go to like the show, so it, especially just doing mainstream and stuff like that, that just brought back so many memories of like my firsts. That's what this book felt like. It was like a book of firsts.
That's awesome.
Like the crazy dance story that I do want to talk about that.
The dance story? Oh, my freshman.
Whatever. You had the crazy outfit.
Oh yeah. What do you want me to sum that up?
Yes, I do.
It was
like I said, I didn't hear your voice when I was reading this, so now I want.
And the funny thing is that
we've all done stupid shit.
For sure, but I didn't realize that it was stupid at the time.
No,
like,
of course,
God,
no.
That's
of course
the coolest thing. Like,
I want to look like Fred Durst for my whole high school career, but now it's like, what the fuck?
See, I have no regrets about doing it, but nobody got it. So it was my freshman year in high school.
Where'd you go to high school?
I went to high school at Thomas More.
Okay. I think I knew that.
That the freshman year dance, like the very first dance, had like a pretty awesome like DJ and video, screen and everything. So
I remember you wrote something like that, saying it was pretty.
Yeah, it was
Cool. Yeah.
to the nines. I mean, it's a private school, so I mean they obviously forked over the money for it, but I got dressed up in like suit pants, slacks, probably like suit socks, like the really thin suit socks. Oh, yeah. Really big, fat,
like
chunky,
the tuxedo socks.
Yeah, yes. Really big, fat, chunky, like mailman shoes. That was the style. A wife beater, a vest. I raided my mom's jewelry box and I grabbed every rosary and chain. Just a step shy of Mr. T.
Yep,
and
that's
then
what I'm picturing.
Suspenders,
like Ferris Bueller with a bunch of
suspenders, a full brim white felt hat, and red leather gloves. I look like a fucking pimp, literally.
But if you look at like a freshman now and how young you must have looked,
for sure,
perfect. It's perfect
for sure, and I can't even imagine what was on people's minds when they saw this getup, but I thought it was the coolest thing. So it was awesome to me. But granted, that was 1990.
But now it's 2017. It's still awesome,
right?
Yeah, I read that and I actually shared that with Steph. I'm like, you have to read this.
It's one of those things, like.
Well, like I said, I would try to be friendly for most of high school. It's like, what? Why? And now you look back and you're like.
Yeah, you don't regret it.
But you're finding yourself. Yeah. High school is, if you're a little kid and you're going to high school and you hate high school, and high school's the worst, just get to college and that's where life starts. That's a public service announcement.
Personally, I really enjoyed high school. Yeah. I had a good time. I had good friends.
Don't get me wrong. I loved high school. I loved it. But I think there's so many kids now that, there's always been kids that just say, "Oh, high school is the hardest. How do I make it through?" But
they're dealing with their own demons.
Yes. But if you get to college, it's so much different. Like that's the real world.
Yeah. I mean, I get
college, I guess, can suck for people too.
Yeah. I think we all feel alienated in our own very special way. And like, even though I had like, I have the persona where I'm okay. I can talk to people, mm-hmm. but I'm insecure about things, like the whole process of writing this book was disarming myself. I can imagine, yeah. And it's like, I don't know if I'm embarrassed about the stories or if I'm proud of them, but the fact is, it's like, I can't keep this inside anymore. So it's my own catharsis. It's my own, psychotherapy. Mm-hmm. So it's crazy.
Yeah, you're putting it out there for everybody to see, and I mean, that takes balls, and I'm glad, like I said, because people like me, where I read it and I'm thinking about everything that I did, so like through you I'm reliving a lot of my life, so it was actually, it's awesome. Cool to read, and that's
glad to hear.
It was awesome. It was definitely fun. Best show at Summerfest
ever?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Besides the one that I saw you at, because that was just
I don't know, I saw Prince. That was a pretty dope show. But the show that I can probably think that it had an actual, I had an emotional reaction. Like I cried, like pouring tears when I heard Father and Son by Peter Gabriel in 2003.
Yeah, I don't remember.
It was the Growing Up tour.
Yeah,
which, I mean, if you think about it, it's so emotive. Like he's putting his feelings out on, through a microphone, and here I am doing it. Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. I have a ton of them. I mean, I've seen everything from White Snake to New Order and PIL to Love and Rockets to, Do
you think Summerfest has gone downhill?
I don't think that it's gone downhill. I think that it's catering to a drinking crowd. It's no longer a musical crowd. Because you can put just about anything on stage while people are drinking, baking in the sun starting at noon.
Yeah.
So it hasn't gone downhill, but it's definitely changed for the music fanatic. I'll even say the exact same thing about Coachella and Lollapalooza.
Yes.
Like they're there to sell tickets. They're not there to, sell you, the music fan. It's really just a scenester place to be.
I agree with that, because every time I look at Monterey or Coachella or any of them, it's just like, it's disappointing.
Yeah, I mean,
the lineup isn't like, wow. Like, it's kind of just like,
what was wowing? 1990, the very first Lollapalooza, where you have the Butthole Surfers, Jane's Addiction, Living Color, Ice-T.
But it was like that for a long time. Like, it was like that for a long time. And like, but now I even look at like Riot Fest and be like, I say wow. That's the only one that I actually say wow to, because they always get like, was it the Misfits last year? Like, they get the bands, but not too many people. Like, there aren't that anymore. Like Summerfest announcing Chainsmokers. Like,
yeah, big deal.
Cool, Chainsmokers.
I mean, you're always going to have your anchors, and I get the whole idea of getting the Tom Petties.
Mm-hmm.
You have to appeal to a range of ages.
Mm-hmm. No, there's no issue with there, but it's like
before that, it's like, Chainsmokers. Like, does that matter? Is that really going to?
They'll sell tickets for this year, I guess.
Exactly.
But to people who just want to go there, hang out, drink, and
exactly.
So I don't know. Like last year was like all country, or not all country, but the majority was like, it was country heavy theme, where it just changed. Like, it used to be every year you were excited to see the lineup. Yeah. Like when they posted the lineup, be like, oh yeah, I dig this.
And what did I don't even think I went at all last year. Maybe I did. Maybe I did just for like a particular show. I went for
Blink-182.
Who else played the main?
I don't remember. That's the only night that I went.
I'm drawing a blank, but
2 years. Oh God, I don't remember how long ago it was, but 2 or 3 years ago when Brand New was there.
Yeah, that was rad.
I think I only went there just for that one.
I missed that set, but
that's the thing I like about Brand New, is that they barely talk to the crowd. They just play, which some people hate, and I get, you want interaction. I totally get that, but I love just going out and play. And they don't play, like, they won't necessarily play all their hits.
And
they'll just play whatever song they want. They'll play they will play the bigger songs that everybody does like, but a lot of the songs are really obscure, and they just play songs that they dig playing, which you never would hear live.
Exactly.
Ever. And it's cool. Like that.
And that's when Summerfest is a success, in my opinion, when you have a band that's willing to do that. I mean, electronica wise, like a couple years back, they had like Cascade and Pretty Lights.
Yeah, I saw you with Pretty Lights, I think.
I think it was Pretty Lights.
Yeah. Because that was like when they had the POS and like all the Minnesota rappers.
I wasn't there for that day. That was a different day.
When it was raining, no?
I don't think that was.
But then we met a different day for it. I remember Pretty Lights, and then there's another group.
It was Paul Basic and Pretty Lights and.
Yep. Anyway.
But yeah.
But I haven't even noticed. Have they steered clear of that, or are they still going with Fletcher?
I don't know. They haven't really released a ton of the side stage.
No, I meant like last year. No, they must not have if you never went.
I didn't feel the need to go.
It's sad. Because it used to be the go-to, and it's not even because I'm older. It's just I don't really want to go.
Well, and
music-wise, I mean, there's not, like, age-wise, it sucks because now at 9 o'clock we're home in our jammies and we just don't care anymore.
True.
Because we're older, but I don't want to go see like Fun where there's 5 million little kids there with their parents.
Yeah. Well, and there's also like the ethic of live shows has changed so drastically, where I'm there to see a band and I want you to shut the fuck up around me so I can see the band and hear them.
Put your phone down.
Put your phone down.
Quit recording the entire set.
Stop talking about, your fluorescent hat,
Wait, what about that sweet girl dancing in front of us for that one show? Real Big Fish. Do you remember that?
The one that had I'm the Duff.
I'm the Duff. Anyway, that's... But put your phone down.
Yeah.
And I get it. You're the cell phone. I get it. I totally get it because I'm guilty of it.
I'm guilty of it too.
I do it like when I saw Rancid in San Francisco. I did it, but the majority of the time I was trying to enjoy the show.
Exactly. You get a couple good shots and then put it away.
Yes. Take cool shots, get up close, take a good picture, and then enjoy the show. Put the phone down. I don't want to watch the concert through somebody's phone in front of me.
Exactly.
It's so annoying.
And I also don't think that it's worth anything to be at the show and taking a photo if you're never actually paying attention to it. So it's like, if you're there just to hear ambient noise, go find a jukebox, you know, like go put on your Spotify playlist and go, you know, belly up to the bar, you know,
say go to a bar, play the
sound
music,
tunes.
Tunes. Yeah. That's frustrating.
Yeah, it really is.
Another beer soon. We're not drinking.
I am.
Well, then I'm just going to ask you this question, walk away, and fill up. You were in LA for how many years?
4.
You saw Morrissey, Kimmel, which I'm jealous of that. When you first told me about that a while ago, I was jealous about that.
Yeah, that was.
And it's cool that he showed up instead of canceled.
That was before his health issues. I mean, in all honesty, but yeah,
it sucks, man. He cancels so much, and it's putting a damper in everything.
Yeah. I mean, that was one of the more. That was like a single most important show that I saw out there because.
There was a kickoff of his tour, right? And coming back in his new album.
I think it was kicking off the Years of Refusal record.
Yes. Yeah. Because I saw him come to the Eagles Ballroom for that show or for that.
And he actually made it, and like that tour, he was complete. Okay.
It was awesome. He played a bunch of Smith songs. Like, it was perfect.
That's awesome.
It was great. And I think that it was the Years of Refusal. But so Morrissey, Kimmel, what was the best thing that happened to you out in California, or what did you take away from that experience out there?
Wow, that's a really insightful question.
I'm curious. 'Cause you're there 4 years. It's a crazy town.
I mean, I got to do a lot, and I worked in entertainment, and the God honest truth is I can't lower it to just one. No, that's fine. That's fine. The weirdest part about it had to be like accessibility to different artists, because everybody plays LA.
Yep.
So I can't lower it down to just like one, like the best thing that happened.
No.
But like
the biggest thing you took away from living out there.
No matter,
best thing that happened. Obviously, it would say Morrissey. That would be mine.
Yeah, I mean, I also got to see.
But how did you change? Like the best thing that you personally took away.
I was humbled by extreme wealth and poverty. Like it's such a weird juxtaposition to be in the middle of. This actually happened. This isn't a fabricated story. So I took my car in one day to the auto body shop, and that shop was on Melrose and like Seaward. And I remember I was smoking at the time, so I went outside to have a cigarette, and I saw a guy who didn't have the lower portion of his body, and he was just kind of like scooting along on either a skateboard or like a pallet thing, you know. And driving past him on a cell phone was a big, bright, beautiful Bentley. And like that was the moment when I was like, fuck, man, like it doesn't matter. Like you are stuck in the middle of whatever. You're not immune to certain things just because you have money. So I always like to tell people what I liked about LA was you're stuck in the same traffic, whether you have a Bentley or a beat up 1986 Corolla.
We're all in this together, really.
Exactly. Like we're all sharing the same common disaster, which is traffic, smog, like population or just heat, So I found that was one of those like defining moments for me, like in California, where you have the ability to see the best and the worst in life, and you have to try to be better because of it. Like I'm by no means like a humanitarian, but I tried to think like one. Yeah. So it's like, boy, that puts a lot of weird shit in your brain.
We're just putting life into perspective, really.
Exactly.
I mean, that's where you almost turn into like the adult changing moment where you're like, you turn into something. You're like, all right. Like for me, it was marriage and
fatherhood.
Yeah, like that's even another
Sure.
kick. I think life does that where you like little instances of kicking you in the ass.
Sure.
Like,
And-
yeah, sure, you might always still be an asshole, but at least you're a nicer asshole.
And needing that kick in the ass.
Oh, yeah,
you know, like
totally.
you almost need it in order to learn that lesson and move on to the next lesson.
Yeah.
I mean, I it's not religious. It's, you know, it's life, you know?
No, and if you're religious, you can use that.
Sure.
But it's like more of like a self-motivating type thing where it's like little things kick you in the butt and that's what does it. So then how long after that? So when was that? Like year 3, year 4, year 2?
I actually want to say that was like year 1.
So then all the time you were out there surrounded by all the crazies and all the people that
Yeah.
you
I
just
mean,
try to stay balanced.
yeah.
And obviously you did because you're a cool dude and you're
Thank you.
a good friend. But
Yeah, and I also think that, you know, having my now wife, you know, be a part of it, she helped ground me.
no, yeah.
Where
Why just do that?
but I think that if I would have moved out there by myself in my mid-20s, I was 30 when I decided and told people. I had just turned 30 when I made the announcement that I was moving.
Back here?
No, to California.
Okay.
So I had the luxury of being a little older and a little more secure financially, mentally, emotionally.
Oh, God, yeah. 30 is such a... 30, even that's a big kick in the ass in life.
Exactly.
You're at 30, it's like...
You-
a lot of things change. I mean, it's
You're just
an
no
age,
longer young.
But for some reason, something happens.
Right.
Hangovers are worse. Like,
Oh, for sure.
you think... Yeah, 30 was a weird age.
But it's, again, it's necessary because all of a sudden you're like, oh shit, like life isn't just about parties.
No.
Life's not just about, you know, being out and about all the time. Like you should probably tend to whatever thing in your life, you know, has been on the back burner for the longest time.
Yeah, I can see that. So then you had the life-changing moment, lived out there for another 3 years. When did... Were you married then or no? When did you... No, you got married back here.
Yeah, I'm going to celebrate 5 years soon.
Hi, Devin. Wow.
Yeah. This
5
September
years.
will be 5 years. But we've been together for, 11?
So how long were you two... So she moved out there with you.
We were dating for about 6 months before I asked her, her if she
Moving?
wanted to move. And she said yes, and I can't really describe how necessary that was because I don't know that I would have done it on my own.
Yeah, I guess I can see that. Yeah. It's always good to be out there with somebody, but... And how was she with...
She was good. You know, the first year is hard because we moved out there for my job.
Oh, okay.
So I was offered a job, and
That makes more sense. But still 6 months into a relationship, hey, guess what? We're moving.
exactly.
Yeah.
And hey,
Either it
we're
works out, she comes home.
yeah, like,
or-
but we're moving, and we're moving into a 1-bedroom, you know, right off of Hollywood Boulevard, which is really, really tough. You know, like if anybody ever needs to figure out if they should be with somebody, move into a
Move to
1-bedroom.
Hollywood.
No,
Yes.
like just strip away all the space, and you know that helps define what you're made out of.
You go crazy. You could go crazy.
You
But-
go crazy, but you learn how to deal with it. You know, like
I mean, we think about that now because Steph had a 1-bedroom in Milwaukee, and I was like across the street in a bigger house.
okay,
But if we were stuck in that 1-bedroom, there's no way. I don't think we'd still be together. Someone would be murdered. It was awful. Because
Yeah.
I think you need a place. You need at least one room where you can go and say, "Get me out of here."
yeah, you need something for yourself. But yeah, plenty of people do it.
Oh yeah.
Plenty of people make it work, and you know, I give them a lot of credit because it's like those are the people that have their shit together a whole lot more than I might. You know,
No. Yeah. Man, I don't even know how we could. Even if we did that now, there's no way. I mean,
yeah, it's hard to even fathom.
It would test you. Yeah, definitely hard to fathom that.
I think my record collection alone requires its own bedroom.
Shoe closet.
My shoe closet as well.
Are all these autographs in the basement? So you also do. I don't know. I'm done with the book because we've been through it, and I could keep talking about it, but
Hey man, this is your show.
Ghost of Laura Palmer. What is it?
When I moved,
Yeah,
go ahead.
No,
go ahead.
you go.
No. When I moved back from California to Milwaukee, I felt there was a void in my like musicology, and it was really kind of painful, like mentally, that like I didn't have an outlet. And I basically asked a buddy of mine, Andy Galata, who was in a bunch of different bands, you know, in Milwaukee. And I'm like, hey, do you want to start a DJ project? You know, I've been kind of DJing in, you know, California, you know, here and there. And he's like, yeah, well, what do you got in mind? And I said, like, let's just keep it soul and funk. You know, let's stick to like our wheelhouse of what we enjoy listening to. And he's a huge avid record collector and record buyer and seller. So he basically put behind our project the music, because I didn't have a whole lot of soul and funk in the collection. I had it like digitally, you know, over the years.
Which doesn't help. Yeah.
Exactly. So we wanted to stay true to nothing but vinyl, like, because he had all this great vinyl, and I have an idea of how to transition from one track to another, you know, 2 turntables and a mixer. So we set out to do something, you know, just play records. And our first show was like in 2010 at Blackbird in Milwaukee.
Yep.
Holly was nice enough to take a chance on a couple guys that didn't know what the fuck they were doing. And but it was really, really fun because we got to do exactly what we wanted, which was hang out, drink some drinks, and play some, you know, great jams. And when Andy asked me, like, you know, what are we going to call ourselves? I'm like, why not the Ghosts of Laura Palmer? You know, I'm a pretty huge Twin Peaks fan, and I had just not that long before had met David Lynch in Los Angeles.
How
so
crazy is he?
He is the most eccentric looking guy, but I almost, you know, threw up because I was so starstruck. I literally could only get out the words, "I love what you do," and shook his hand. And then I walked away from him while he was mid-sentence. He signed something for me, and I just like took it and basically ran like I stole it.
At least you said something, though.
Yeah, and I shook the man's hand, and I thought it was pretty rad.
Because when Steph meets people, she doesn't talk and she hides behind me.
Seriously?
Oh, it's bad.
See, and I get that. It's just like here's that one opportunity.
Yeah.
You know?
Like we met Angels and Airwaves. She literally has lyrics from Angels and Airwaves tattooed on her.
Funny.
She couldn't even show.
That's hilarious.
I had to like turn her around and be like, look, she likes you. And she's like,
That's so
say
funny.
Something.
She's like,
but she gets like, she's very,
hi.
like, yeah. No, she couldn't even say hi. Well,
really?
It was, yeah, it's cute. But
that's awesome though.
But he would seem like a very weird guy. Just because
he's just so incredibly intelligent that I
he's
can't.
almost too smart for, like, I'm David Lynch. I'm just going to do this. And you're just like, okay.
You're going to do it and I'm going to love it. You know, like.
Yeah. Just very out there and crazy, just to be crazy almost. But
I think he's just wired
crazy.
Like that.
Yeah.
You know?
But he just does it like
effortlessly.
But he doesn't do it to like impress anybody. He just does it for himself, just saying, I'm just going to create this piece of art for me.
Well, exactly. And I think that we saw that in a number of his movies. Yeah. You know, I apologize, films, because movies are Mission Impossible. You know. What do
you have against Mission Impossible?
Huh? No, I love it. I actually was just watching it earlier today. Rogue Nation. But like I love them, but they're meant to be taken at face value. You're not supposed to delve into, you know, what Ethan Hunt is doing, you know. But Mulholland Drive, I mean, it's a mind scrambler.
Totally. Oh God, I still try to, like, when I first saw the movie, I'm like, I don't get this. You keep watching it, going, all right.
Inland Empire. I mean, come on, Eraserhead, or
especially Eraserhead.
That's
like, I watched that later, but Mulholland Drive is like, I just remember watching it going, this is awful. But then I watch it again and be like, okay. And then reading more about it, I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Now I kind of, it just,
even like the background color means something.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell? Like,
but he's just, I'm David Lynch and this is what I want.
Yeah.
This is me and this is it.
I got nothing but love for that man. I mean, he's so eccentric in such an intelligent way that I think man, I think that we'd have a whole lot better quality, movies and films out there. Original ideas instead of. Can I go off on a tangent about original ideas? Because I really I saw the trailer for Chips.
Yeah, go off.
I saw the trailer for It, the remake of Stephen King's It. What's wrong with Hollywood? Like, seriously, like, what the fuck is like?
It's like music.
Exactly, it's just completely regurgitated nonsense.
I don't like all the remakes.
It's stupid.
Like, I'm a fan of the comic book movies just because I like the comic books, and it's entertainment. Like, there's no story. There's a story, and it's a movie. It's not.
Yeah.
A film. But the remake crap, like, nothing is original anymore. Like,
it's sad.
like it's in a rut. But then there's stuff like Ex Machina. I don't know if you ever saw that.
Mm-mm.
There's stuff like that where it just flips the world. Or do you see The Arrival?
I did not.
Okay, check that out. Those movies give me hope.
Really? That's good to hear.
I don't even really want to tell you anything about them.
I'll check them out.
Go into them. Don't even... Like, The Arrival is nominated and is out there and stuff like that. But
who's in that again?
Forrest Whitaker and Amy Adams and...
Got it. Okay, I know what you're talking about.
Who's the guy?
Wasn't it nominated?
Hawkeye. Jeremy Renner. Yeah, it was nominated for stuff. But don't look at any previews. Just go on and watch it.
Yeah, that's another thing. I don't watch previews.
Yeah.
Like, I can't.
So,
trailers, like, I find it really hard. I watch the trailer, and it puts me off on the movie.
Yeah. But movies like that give me... I think they're going to turn around with good stuff, better stuff.
That's good to hear.
I think, in my opinion. I mean, there's stuff out there. Like, The Arrival, check that out. It's awesome. That movie, you kind of watch and you're just like, holy crap. Like, it's almost like a Sixth Sense type thing.
That's awesome.
Where you're just like, whoa. But then Ex Machina, that came out a couple years ago.
I remember the name.
It's... The only thing I really want to tell you about it is, like, let's say the person who invented Google.
Okay.
Runs
John Q. Google?
Yes. Michael Google. So, somebody who...
Michael Google?
Google. So, let's just say there's a company like Google, a search-based company that they use in this. I don't even remember. There's a name for it.
Okay.
But he runs it. He created it. He lives off in this crazy house. It's actually a hotel in Norway, and I really want to stay there.
Crazy.
But he puts on this fake contest where one guy wins. The guy doesn't know what he's supposed to win. He comes to his house, this genius's house, and he has to test AI.
Interesting.
And it's a lockdown house. There's key cards and stuff, and it's just the two that live there, and then the main guy's like girlfriend. But he created AI, and he goes, I want you to do this test. There's a certain name for the test. I don't remember what it was, but he's like, just interact with it and tell me if it's good, if it works.
Okay.
That's
interesting.
all I really want to tell you because...
No, fair.
The whole thing is like a mind-bending. You're like, wait a minute. Is he a robot? Is he a robot? Like, you're
that's
just like,
rare
wait,
nowadays.
what the hell? Like,
Yeah.
I get that person's a robot, but is he messing with us?
Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah, so stuff like that gives me hope that there's actually good stuff on its way. So I don't know, but yeah, there's a lot of other stuff out there where it's just like, if they remake the Goonies, I'm gonna really be upset.
That's actually I think it's in production.
No,
yeah, I really do. I read something in Entertainment Weekly about how all the different remakes.
That's awful. Or Ferris Bueller. You can't remake them.
I didn't think that you could remake it. That scared the shit out of me. Like, why would you need to? I mean, I get that every generation has that. Like, hey, Nosferatu, got remade into Dracula. Bram Stoker's, Dracula. Like, I get it. But still, like, really?
Yeah.
Like, there's a reason that, Bela Lugosi was so powerful, and it's...
But even, like horror movies, The Grudge and The Ring, those are like Japanese movies that were transferred over, which, yeah, we never saw them because we never even heard about them until they got big, which, whatever, they're remakes. But I thought they're incredibly original.
They were well done.
But, like, It and stuff like that, like, yeah, it's been done before.
Although I gotta
And when
say,
you watch older movies, it is kind of cheesy now.
it totally.
Where it's not scary at all. Like you watch.
I'm still
my
scared by Hostel.
That is a.
I mean,
scary
that's
movie.
seriously disturbing.
It's a gross. Yes, I don't like this Hostel. They made a second one, didn't they?
Yeah, that was horrible. Now that one had the cheese factor.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like the first one was scary.
The
The
Saw
second one,
scared me.
the what?
Saw.
Yeah,
Like those ones where I wasn't scared of like the gross and everything else. I was more scared of like this could actually happen, or somebody could kidnap you and then you
yeah, it's crazy.
have to eat somebody's butt out and try to get a key,
You're thinking of Human Centipede.
but they don't have keys. So anyway,
So
that's your
troubling.
rant. That's your rant about original.
No, I just think it's just so disheartening. You know, like
Yeah,
today,
but I think that's like the same relation to music.
exactly, and that's why it's like
come up with original something. Like
you're
that.
you're stuck in this.
But is that us? Is that us being old?
It could be,
Because our parents probably said the same thing.
and they probably did, but there's also a matter of, you know, there's a my mom was always like really supportive of the music I was listening to. So like I saw Ministry and I brought her, you know, a t-shirt, and she'd be the only lady at the gym wearing a Ministry t-shirt, and she's not like, you know,
Well,
20
that
years
rules,
old.
yeah.
But I think that regardless of age, you're going to say, I don't like this, but I get it and it's good. You know, right? I mean, like, I know I do that all the time. Like, hey, this band or that band, like most of the...
See, no, I think that's what we were talking about before. Is I shut myself off. Like I don't
Fair enough.
get it, and I don't like it. I'm not gonna like it.
But there too, though, like,
But
you're
but I
okay
will
to
admit
not
if
like
I'm
it.
wrong.
Yeah.
I know I'm wrong completely. Like
But you don't have to like it. Like,
Yeah.
but there are bands out there, or, you know, filmmakers. Like, I don't dig the horror movie genre. I don't. But I get that they're actually doing something pretty, you know, forward.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yep.
they're trying to find new ways to scare me.
Yep.
And I respect that. I don't like it, but I respect it. And that goes the same for, you know, like bands that I don't particularly like. You know, like I'm just trying to think of who I just said, like, I don't dig it, but it's...
to fill the hole.
Yeah, it definitely fills that void for whatever. I just had a conversation with a buddy of mine who texted me, can you explain Chance the Rapper to me? I'm no, I cannot. I can't.
I have a couple friends who really love Chance the Rapper,
But you know what?
and I don't get it.
I don't get it either, and I don't like it. But you know what? God bless you, man. You're doing something different, and
But then it
I
takes me
dig
to the
that.
whole like Tyler the Creator type thing. Like
Him too.
I don't. He faded off,
He
and
did.
I can kind of see. But you know the weird thing is like but the whole respect thing. I respect Chance because he's actually like donating to schools. He's doing
Totally.
which cool. That's great.
Exactly.
Your music, I just don't get, and I'm not a fan of. Like I still will just put on like
And I don't think it's a problem.
I'll put on Run the Jewels because I do like Run the Jewels and like that type of stuff.
I think it's pretty hard not to like Run the Jewels.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
I mean, Killer Mike and LP.
Yeah.
You know,
With Zach De La Rocha and Travis Park, they just fill in. It's so good.
I just found out that they were here not that long ago, and
Where?
either here
Probably
or in
Madison
Chicago.
or something. Oh, probably Chicago.
But I was like, how the fuck did I not know that?
Yeah, that would have been a great show. To see them or like any of that Minnesota group like POS or
POS is
Not even
coming,
Atmosphere.
actually.
where
I
when
saw it here soon.
they come down here a lot. Or they go to Madison a lot and they go to La Crosse a lot.
I've seen POS, and I think he's pretty proper.
POS is awesome. I like it because he comes from a punk background. He comes from like a heavy punk background.
Well, and that's
Which is
exactly
weird, which is great. Like that makes it.
And now we're delving into something that's like its own topic, though. Most subcultures share their common disasters. Like, hey, nobody got me. You know, I'm, you know, The Clash.
Yeah.
Hey, nobody got me. I'm Grandmaster Flash.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's interesting how, like, even Run DMC, like, lent a lot of their guitar samples to rock music. It wasn't just
Weren't they super against
beats.
it too at the time? thought I read somewhere Run DMC didn't like all the metal on the guitar. They couldn't figure. I thought it was
That was a Rick Rubin thing. Yeah, but I mean, he sold them on.
Rick Rubin is a great.
He's just got a great ear.
Yeah.
I mean,
just seeing about his body of work is awesome. Like, even did I send you that article?
I don't think.
It was like the 21 greatest Rick Rubin's 21 his most favorite songs that he has ever done.
I'd like to see that. That'd be interesting.
It's some article I can send it to you, but he talks about, and I got into it spiraling down the internet when I was looking at Andrew Dice Clay's album, The Night Comedy Died.
Okay.
And I didn't realize Rick Rubin produced it. It was like at the height of Andrew Dice Clay's career when he was selling out arenas. He went into this little New York dive at like 3 a.m, and they just recorded a set.
That's awesome.
And what happens in New York comedy is like it's just a bunch of tourists, and they'll just hang out at 4 a.m, 5 a.m, 6,
sure,
whatever. So it was people that weren't there to see him. He shows up.
That's awesome.
They don't like his jokes. They don't like him, but he just, you can hear people, like the whole album, you can hear like people leaving, people swearing at him. But, like I said,
that's just vulgar.
Oh, yeah, but there's this whole thing that Rick Rubin was talking about, that there's this thing called Hour Back.
Okay.
Hour Back. So for like the whole joke, he's saying, I want to take an hour back. I'm going to get an hour back. Hour back. It makes no sense.
Sure.
He was doing an inside joke. One of his friends' last name is Auerbach.
Funny.
So he just was putting his name on the album. Like, it's the weirdest. But you hear people like going, like, kind of laughing, but not really laughing.
But let's be honest, his delivery was a lot of it, too.
Yeah, and...
He's talking fucking
So anyway,
gibberish.
Rubin... So, like, that was Rubin's idea. Is like, let's just go to this tiny little shit club and record. And let's make this an album and sell it.
He truly is one of the greatest producers.
But, like, the Eminem and... Run DMC, like you name it, Beastie Boys, like it's just crazy, his list. But then like older, like bigger artists like Johnny Cash and
yeah, for sure.
God, who am I missing?
I think he did a 11 Rockets album at one point when they were on American Records. But yeah, he's so true to the art form.
Yes,
that's the part that I like most about what he does.
I'm listening. I'm just trying to find this article. 20 greatest song. But yeah, it was just like the crazy, because that actually 25 best songs. So this is like, it was just crazy to think of the artists that he's worked with. He's worked with all the top. Jazzy J, The Cult.
Really?
Beastie Boys. Queen. There's the Andrew Dice Clay Hour Back. Red Hot Chili Peppers.
That's right.
Adele. Slayer.
Of course.
Tom Petty. Dixie. Fucking Danzig.
Did you say Dixie Chicks?
Yeah. Roy Orbison. More Red Hot Chili Peppers. Danzig again. Jay-Z, obviously, we know. System of a Down. He has a cool article. He talks about that album, like the Chop Suey song, how it's like really deep and like religious and everything else, and they wanted to call it something crazy, and the label's like no. So then System of a Down is like, fine, we'll call it Chop Suey.
That is hilarious. Yeah, because you never hear the words Chop Suey in the song.
The Bangles.
That's funny.
Johnny Cash, which we know. Run DMC. LL Cool J.
Sure.
A lot of Chili Peppers.
Yeah, he was.
I mean, he's so much of Chili Peppers, huh?
That's cool, though. I mean, if you really think about what his position is in so many of those recordings, he's letting artists be artists.
Yeah.
As opposed to, hey, you fit into this mold.
Well, that's part of the article. I'll send it to you, but he was talking about, which a lot of people didn't like Eminem's new album, which I kind of liked. Because it's just good to hear his voice again. But when the Berserk, the first song that came out.
Oh, yeah. Go Berserk.
Yeah. Eminem actually got that from some Detroit newscast guy, and he just said, the story is Berserk. And they took that loop and just made it. And Eminem he's like, I want that in the song. He's like, I just want that. See, in the background, you can hear it.
That's funny. I got to re-listen to it.
If you hear, like, every time you hear Berserk, it's this newscaster, and then that's what made the whole song.
That's
Like
funny.
that was the base around the whole song. So that was Eminem, him letting Eminem just say, "Yeah, do whatever you want to do. Let's create it from your vision."
And again, these are artists, not just hey,
And Ruben
we're
sees, like you said, Ruben sees that, and he's like, "Okay, just I'll give that to you, and then you give me something." And he
Exactly.
did. And I mean, like I said, a lot of people don't like the album, but I liked it.
well,
Just, it was good to hear his voice again.
there's the difference between, in my opinion, there's the difference between like an artist and a band like the Lumineers. Like
Don't
I don't
fuck
really,
with my Lumineers. I'm just
I
kidding.
don't. I just don't see
Someone's
the
at home going, "I fucking love the Lumineers."
And I think that that's great. I mean, there's a need for everything out there. But all in all, I just kind of think to myself, like, why doesn't Rick Rubin work with the Lumineers? Like, they're not the artists at the echelon that he needs them to be.
Yeah.
You know? That's why I think it's...
I think you like the Lumineers.
I actually dislike them, but I get it that they're...
Yeah.
Like, they're not bad.
They have the,
I just-
they have the
I
couple
don't
of
like
songs where you're like, okay, fine, I get it.
Yeah.
And I've been guilty of listening. Like, I don't mind. I just can't get behind. I would never go see them live. If they were at a free stage at Summerfest, I'd be like, yeah, cool, let's do that.
Yeah, I also don't think that they have a whole lot of repertoire to pull from.
Yeah.
So when you go see a
Oh,
Lumineers
yeah.
show, you're gonna
You'd
see
have to
and
know the
hear
whole album, though.
exactly, and that's all you're gonna hear. You're not gonna hear like the obscure track by so and so.
And that's the kid who had their parents take him to the show to hear that one song.
Right.
No.
Yeah, that's kind of a shame.
Yeah. I think we can wrap up.
All right.
The kid's probably going to wake up soon, and the wife will wake up soon. And yeah. Thank you, sir. You're going to have to autograph my book
Yeah.
on the way out.
I'll be happy to.
I'll move all the post-it notes.
No, leave them, man.
All right. That was episode 1.5. Mario Martin. Check out his book, Growing Up Analog. And are you doing Ghosts of Laura Palmer anytime soon?
I'm just taking a break. I really only just get out there when I feel the need. It's
urge?
No, it's not even the urge. It's when I feel like that the landscape needs me. It's
that's
kind of
cocky.
like it's not meant to be. It's more a matter of when I see that there's so much like crap coming around, then I'm like, okay, well, I got to make sure that I pump some James Brown out there, some George Clinton out there. Yeah, it's kind of funny because there really is no need for me to do it. It's just a matter of sometimes I think people need to hear that type of music.
To mix it up a little bit.
Yeah.
That
Exactly.
works. I agree. All right.
Well, thanks for having me, man.
Of course. And I'll be talking to everybody soon in episode 1.0.
I'm not even getting your numbering convention.
All right. See ya.